Well, the UK grants first license to make babies using three-person DNA. Yeah, that is pretty scary, I have to say. God made us male and female in the beginning, and it should just be kind of the basics, right? That a man, a woman, right, old-fashioned, and they have children, and yet we're not having that anymore. If we go over to oh, over here at CBS, you can look at the cbsnews.com. The UK grants first license to make babies using three-person DNA. Now, in my book, Corrupting the Image, I actually talk about that quite a bit. If you're interested, you can check that out. It's on Amazon or my web store. According to this article, Britain's Newcastle University says its scientists have received a license to create babies using DNA from three people. The first time such approval has been granted. The license was granted by the country's fertility regulator on Thursday, according to the university. In December, British officials approved the cautious use of the techniques which are intended to prevent women from passing on fatal genetic diseases to their children. The new procedures fix problems linked to mitochondria, the energy-producing structures outside a cell's nucleus. Faulty mitochondria can result in conditions including muscular dystrophy and major organ failure. Now, this all sounds great. Like, what if it were your child, right? That's the challenge. And I really believe what we're looking at is that we have not been following as a nation, as a planet, all right? We've not been following the things that God has told us to do. Because God said very clearly that if we follow his instructions for life, then none of the plagues that were on Egypt would come upon his people. Now, I'm not Jewish, but I have been grafted in to the Commonwealth of Israel. All right, so we'll save the other debate for another show, and you can check those out on my YouTube channel if you're interested in discovering more about the House of Israel, House of Israel, House of Judah, House of Israel, and all kinds of fun things. All right, but what he told us is that if you follow my instructions, you people who are following me, well, how do you know you're included in that, Doug? Well, because there was a mixed multitude of Egyptians that came out with the Israelites when they came out of Egypt. So they got to participate in those same promises, even though they were not genetically part of the family of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were grafted in, they got assimilated in, and then they got to enjoy the same promises as everybody else. So I'm being brought in to this Commonwealth of Israel, and if I follow God's instructions, then I'll get to enjoy those blessings. If I don't follow the instructions, then the plagues of Egypt will come upon us. And that's what I think is happening here. While this technology is pretty cool, but I think it's going in the wrong direction. First of all, should this be two people, not three? But secondly, I really believe that we will not have nearly the birth defects that we have if we followed God's instructions for life. Those instructions for life are found in the Bible, believe it or not, right? They start with, well, the Ten Commandments. That's a good place to start. And then there is, of course, explanation on those Ten Commandments as you go throughout the book of Exodus. If you're really curious, go check out Exodus chapters 20 through 23. That's the basic set of laws and commandments that God would have for us. So those are very important. You may also want to check out Leviticus chapter 11 on the dietary things as well, because when we eat foods or when we eat animals that God said are not food, hey, bad things happen, and more than likely we get birth defects. So according to this, faulty mitochondria can result in conditions including muscular dystrophy and major organ failure. Did you know that eating pork has actually been associated with multiple sclerosis? Yeah, cancer. Also, forgetting, sorry, I'm just forgetting something there. But when we don't follow what he says, then things happen because it's just cause and effect. That's really all it is. Cirrhosis of the liver. That's what I was trying to think of there. So last year, U.S.-based doctors announced they had created the world's first baby using such techniques. Ooh. After traveling to Mexico to perform the methods, which have not been approved in the United States. In that case, the mother had suffered 4 miscarriages and had 2 children who died from a rare and genetically fatal neurological disorder called Leigh syndrome, one at age 6 and one at 8 months. The procedure used in that case, called spindle nuclear transfer, involves removing the healthy nucleus from one of the mother's eggs and transferring it to a donor egg which had had its nucleus removed. The resulting egg, with nuclear DNA from the mother and mitochondrial DNA from a donor, was then fertilized with the father's sperm. The resulting embryo contained genetic material from three parents: the mother, the egg donor, and the father. If you look at the amount of DNA, it's almost like a 2.001 parents rather than three. But it's DNA from three different people. CBS News medical contributor Dr. David August explained on CBS This Morning last year. In Britain, leaders disagreed heatedly on the issue while it was up for debate in the House of Commons, with some raising concerns about designer babies and playing God. Leading churches in Britain, both Protestants and Catholics, oppose the procedures on religious and ethical grounds, they said. So again, I understand if you're a parent, you want to have healthy children. I completely get that. But you know, God actually wants us to have healthy kids as well. Well, why doesn't He give them to us? Well, He did. He said, look, if you'll do these things, then you'll have healthy kids. Right? He said you won't have any miscarriages and you'll be healthy. You won't have those diseases. If you want to check those out, Deuteronomy 28 has a whole long list of yucky things that will happen if we follow the ways of the pagans. If we follow the instructions that God has given us, things will go better. Well, if you want to check out more about my book, you can look at Corrupting the Image. Again, that's on Amazon or on my YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel, of course, but you can also go to my website, douglashamp.com/store. And do subscribe. Thank you for sharing this. Until next time, you guys, God bless you.